back on them streets, gotta make some head. After serving the news.
Alright, back with another video. Your boy, Biscuits, coming through with 76ers talk. Now, if you don't know, I don't really have a team I grew up with in basketball, but ever since I really started following it back in like 2013, 2014 or so, and decided to stop riding the LeBron bandwagon, the Sixers attracted me. I really like Embiid. I really don't like Simmons. But I like this, swag the Sixers had in the past couple of years, and I really felt like this free agency was going to make or break what they would be doing long term. And if you ask me to judge it based on the first day, which is pretty much the only day that matters, I don't think we have pretty much any other money to dedicate to anybody else. Here's how I'd put it. All right, so your Eastern standings, based on not just like actual seedings, but based on how I evaluated teams last year, you had the Raptors, you had the Bucks, you can't see it now because it's out of screen, and that's intentionally. You had the Celtics as a third, and you had the Sixers right below them. You can't see it, but right below them you had the Sixers. Now the Sixers, in my opinion, they, their first round matchup, they had probably the most favorable one. They played a team that had no defense and was very guard central on how they got buckets. Sixers have had two elite defenders that could match up against guards and Ben Simmons and Yimmy Butler. So those are two. This was a favorable matchup for them. They were guard dependent. We had good guard and defenders. It just matched up well. But now you fast forward to the Raptor series, and you start seeing some, for different reasons, you see some similar trends as in last year's second round matchup, but last year's against the Celtics. Simmons was useless. Simmons was completely taken out. This was a known quantity. He can't dribble against Kawhi. I don't know how many other players he just gets clamped up against, but he has absolutely no value against Kawhi. It's a fact. It's been a fact. He sucks, at least offensively, against Kawhi. I would say one difference he had this year was that defensively he really stepped it up. He tried to do something on the other end to match up for what he couldn't do on the other end. But you can't just have a guy that doesn't do anything at the point guard position. So he had to run Yimmy at the point guard. Embiid had another rough series around the rim, but I'd say he actually kind of shook off some of his qualms against Marc Gasol that he had apparently for the rest of his, for like previously up until this point in his career. He was awful against Marc Gasol for whatever reason. They stuffed the paint early, often, pretty much permanently. And we had a few games, pretty much every game that we won was because Embiid just could get off. It wasn't any games where we just shot out of their, they didn't really play a zone too often, but we just shot out of their, packing the paint. We burned them for doing what they did, I should say. So I feel like obviously shooting need to be a thing. When you look at the roster, right? I'm gonna pull the roster right here. Going forward, because I don't think Simmons is gonna be like a elite shooter. I mean, I think Simmons tries. I don't think he tries enough to be an elite shooter, and I don't think he tries. I don't think he recognizes how important it is. He says the right things in my interviews and stuff like that, but I just don't think. I think Simmons. I just don't believe in Ben Simmons. I just don't believe in his development. Because, if you really think about it, he's about the same player as he was coming out of LSU. He's, not physically, but at least from a skills perspective, that right hook, or, let's see, it's usually coming this way. So it'd be a sweeping hook with the right hand, I guess. It's usually not, it doesn't look much better than it did coming out of LSU. His mid-range it's not like it's silky smooth or anything. I mean, if he takes it, it's generally the same shot for him he takes threes with, which is not very attractive. But his back to the basket game, it's more power than it is like finesse. I think he's had a couple of moments where like his footwork looks clean, but like for a guy that's basically going to be a center, for all intents and purposes, a really sleeky center, I don't think his post game is good enough to survive off of that. And his 3-point shot obviously hasn't improved at all. I mean, it's not worth discussing really. But when you look for, obviously you got to just do, like, as the Bulls had this experience one time, you had Boozer and shooters. Now you have Simmons and shooters. Because I think there's a clear ceiling between Ben and Joel being together. And the person to blame there is Ben, not Joel. But with Joel, you have the health issues, and, he has his own obvious issues where he doesn't want to increase his, or his diet better. He eats like a 10-year-old. And you can't tell him he doesn't have some kind of effect on his health, eating like a damn embryo. I don't know who allows him to eat his diet, or allows his diet to be like that, but they have to stop it. He's not going to be in the league very much longer eating like that. But yeah, like I wanted to say, so shooters, you look at this roster. This is the 2018-2019 roster we currently are looking at. So you have Jonathan Simmons, who was a 40. I'm not going to look at Boban and Greg Monroe. That's a waste of time. Jonathan Simmons, who was a 43% shooter on, let me see his attempts, 1.4 attempts. With how centralized shots are in their big three or big four last year, 1.4 attempts isn't as paltry as it looks like. Because, Simmons probably was getting, let's see how much minutes he was getting. 14.6. Maybe they'd be a little bit better, but unless Ben is out the lineup, no one's running point anyway. It's a ball dominant situation, so, solid. That's what you want, around 43%. If you could get that, that'd be ideal. So you go down to Mike Scott. This is the volume you want. You go to Mike Scott, Landry Shamet. They're 4.4 and 4.5 attempts a game. They were giving the team 42% and about 40% respectively. Those are the numbers that Philadelphia needs to see. And if you go down the list and look at this, I'm looking at the updated roster right now. Simmons isn't on the roster. JJ's obviously not on the roster. Shamet will not be on the roster. He wasn't going for it. Covington was on the roster. Wilson Chandler, I believe he's still on contract. The ESPN roster I'm going off of doesn't have him on contract. They may have let him go. They may not be able to afford him, unless he comes in for a vet man. But, he's not there. And, some of the field goal attempts vary from the numbers I've listed. But the point being, they're not counting Greg and Boban. Simmons, I think Scott is coming back, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Scott is back, $4.3 million. That's a pretty good deal. Simmons, Shamet, Reddick, Covington, maybe Chandler. Those are 5 of your 6 best shooters, and they won't be on roster next year. So I just said to say this. It could get ugly again. I remember early last year, before they made some trade shake-up, their shooting just didn't look very good. They had Covington, they had Shamet, and they had Reddick, but their shooting just didn't look very good. I feel like they didn't get enough attempts up, I think they definitely are better coming out the break. And I think Tobias is a better three-point shooter than he showed. He was very inconsistent, especially in the playoffs, but he wasn't good at all shooting-wise. I think Jimmy took the ones he needed to take. I don't think Jimmy's preferred shot is a three-pointer if he doesn't have to. But Jimmy in the rhythm has a good shot for him. You can trust him to take them down late, in games. So, I'm okay with Jimmy taking. He only took 2.7 anyway, so, that's not a lot, especially for a starting two-guard that occasionally played the facilitator role. That wasn't a lot. Tobias took 5 and only shot 33%. That's rounding up. That was a rookie number, son, to quote the great Matthew McConaughey. So I still ought to say this. What needed to improve? What needed to be brought back? What happened during free agency, at least the first day, that can improve this team? Well, let's look at that. So they brought in Al Horford and Justin Richardson. Not Justin. Josh Richardson. I keep wanting to say Justin. Josh Richardson and Al Horford. They lost JJ, Yimmy, and I don't know what they intend on doing with Wilson Chandler. Maybe they bring him back on a MLE or something like that. I'm not sure. But he's, I guess he's currently a free agent. Maybe it was an aspiring deal they signed him on. They also drafted Ty Jerome, or I think they traded for Ty Jerome. And Shake Milton is, I don't know what Shake Milton is. I don't know what he is. I'm looking at the ESPN roster right now. Mario Shaok, that was a late second round, I believe they got. I don't know anything about him, but I do know. Oh yeah, Matisse Thybulle, I forgot about him. Thybulle was supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. I think he shot 39% in college. I know Ty Jerome. He's that's a shooter. And then I know Ty Jerome quite a bit. I'm an Auburn fan, I tell you right now. I know Ty Jerome quite a bit. When he gets hot, he gets hot. He's a formulaic, solid jump shot. So you want him. Josh Richardson, I think he's improved from 3 in his time in Miami. He was a good two-way guy. 6'6", 200 pounds. Before I project positions, I want to look at Al Horford. So Josh Richardson shot 36% from the regular season last year. 37% 3-point shooter. That's healthy. I mean, obviously some volume could have happened to lower that or raise it, whatever. But, solid 3-point shooter, not the greatest, but solid. 25 years old, so he can always get better overall, not just from shooting. Al Horford last year shot 36% from 3. For his position, for his mobility, that's pretty good. I mean, he's not running around and creating shots for himself. He's pretty much just doing pick and fades in transition, hitting shots. He's getting the shots to come to him. After to hit 36% off of shots to come to you, that's pretty good, I feel like. Shot 41% in the 9 games he played in the postseason. Also pretty great. I mean, to raise your percentage up 5 points, that's fantastic in my opinion. And 36-point career shooter. So on face value, what they gained kind of percentage-wise may offset what they lost. But if you consider they lost JJ, who was at 8.8 3-pointers attempt. 3-pointers attempt. 8. He shot 8 3-pointers attempt. Sorry about that. 8 3-pointers attempted by J.J. Redick. If you want to know how amazing that is, the next closest person shot 2.1 3-pointers less, and he was gone off the roster in midseason. After him was Dario, who was gone after midseason. So the next guy who was on the roster at the end of the season, Tobias Harris, he shot 3 3-pointers less than JJ, and JJ shot those 8 at 40%. So you get an ultimate volume shooter type of deal, like a Kyle Korver or something like that. And I can't really exclaim enough how important it is to have for a sparse volume volume shooter. I'm not sure how league average wise they put up threes, but I feel like they didn't put up that many. And I feel like they didn't have that many that could put up that many. So for people that just couldn't understand this, losing a guy like Jada that could pretty much make up most of your 3-pointers attempted any given night, and you can still expect them to put them in, that's pretty huge. And you also lose Jimmy, who wasn't quite as high as JJ or even Tobias, but like I said, I mean, he puts up smart ones. Well, not always smart ones, but he puts up the ones that you need to get put up. You need a clutch shooter, and that's what he's giving you, So, yeah, I mean, you can trust Al Horford to make shots. I understand that. Josh Richardson, I mean, I don't know what to say, Josh Richardson. He's a shooter. I mean, he's not the best shooter of all time, but he's a shooter, to some degree. And you got some free agents, not free agents, but, drafts that can also put him in, at least during college. So I don't think, maybe I came in this video and overblow it a little bit more than I actually end up doing, but I just wanted to say all this to say that I don't think, if you rated their free agency, I think at least on face value, probably a 7 out of 10. I mean, maybe a 6 out of 10, somewhere between that. When you think about the fact that Jimmy probably was going to end up going regardless, he wanted to go to a bright market, bright team, and, be his own man. It's gonna happen one way or the other. We're gonna lose him to somebody probably. Um, so you could put that in mind. I guess you would probably sit there and leave with the conclusion that if a team lost their best playoff player and lost their best ball handler, you think you'd get somebody more than Josh Richardson? Probably. I mean, you would think so, but I don't know. I mean, Josh Richardson isn't the worst player of all time. He's still young. He can still develop too. Al Horford, 4 year, 109 million. That's about. I think I saw online it's about 27.5. I. How old is Al Horford? Let's just look real quick. Al Horford is 33 years old, so you'll be paying Al Horford about 28 million at 37 years old. I mean, for a team that's already like offensively like challenged against respectable teams in the playoffs, I don't I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if this makes you better. I don't know if Josh Richardson and Al Horford improves your what you got going on. Now, obviously, there's trade packages to be had mid-season. We've done a great job of revitalizing the roster the past two ones, but at this point, I mean, you pretty much cap. You know, you're done up on the cap. I mean, you still got to pay Ben and Joel down the road, of course, but like, you got no wiggle room. And I mean, you got at least. I don't know if Al is an untradeable contract. I mean, I would think so because like I don't know who would take that. Like I don't know if we have any picks, any young picks, any young busters that like you would trade and package with Al Horford. I mean, you can't trade Tobias Harris. I mean, you're stuck with that. No one's paying. I forgot to speak on that. 5 years, 180 million for Tobias Harris. A guy was literally here. He's not even used in his role he was using the Clippers. He's not even used as a ball handler. He's used. I mean, I know it was last year where like he didn't get as many looks because of Jimmy, but like he wasn't even allowed to be like a superstar. He's basically like a catch. He was Chris Bosh on the Miami Heat. That was his role here. Instead of even less shots because of being the fourth option instead of third option like Bosh. And you can remember three. He's not a mobile three. Like he's like a hybrid four where like he can be a really good, really athletic four, or a really big and slow three. But it's somewhere in between those two. It's not you. I don't. 180 million for Tobias Harris, man. That's tough. If you factor in the fact that we basically didn't improve and what needed to be improved going forward to the playoffs, I'd give like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 4 out of 10. I don't see how this works on anything in any front really. I think this is just, you got dealt a bad hand. You wanted to run it back, it didn't happen. So you just gotta like bleed out a little bit and just stop the bleeding as soon as you can. And I guess that's what they did. It's troubling they didn't have anybody on the board. It's more like they didn't have any other realistic option other than Horford, because Horford was suggested as an option as soon as he left the Celtics. So like in between all the free agency and all that stuff, we couldn't find a better free agent than Al Horford. But that's all for me. I just wanted to like kind of speak about the Sixers for a minute, kind of give my thoughts on what they did. I'm not here to clown them. I really think that even with what they got now, even though they're even worse offensively than they were before, they're. I mean, they might be better in the half court, but like, here's their lineup. Their lineup is Josh Richardson at the one, which I want to talk about this. Well, I guess Simmons at the one, Richardson at the two, Tobias at the three, Horford at the four, and B at the five. So let's just contemplate that for a second. Let it digest for a minute. So you're gonna run that right there against Kemba, against Marcus Fart, against Gordon. Wait, run that back a little bit. Rewind. Kemba, Gordon, Tatum, Brown, Who's their five? I don't even remember who their five is. But you know, I don't know who they're running back. I mean, I don't even know who they drafted. I don't know if they drafted anybody in the five or what. But the point is, their first four, if they decide just to run small ball. Now I know the Sixers. I know the Sixers got like backups and stuff like that. Like they got like other lines they can run and stuff like that. But like, I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. You have to sacrifice offense, and I just don't get it. I'm not cool with it, and I just think it's a glass ceiling. Like it's like a second round ceiling to what you got right now. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope, you know, as Sixers fans, I hope that you stay committed to this grind, because it's not a 1 year thing. Like I know this is a big free agency, and maybe we missed out on a little bit, but I don't think this is like a 1 year and it's over type of thing. We'll see how it goes.